Hello, today we're going to talk about multi-step equations. Alright, so we've done one step and two step equations. Now we're moving on to multi-step. That just means you're doing more than two steps. Here's our first problem. We're still going to start off the same way. We're going to draw our wall. But instead of boxing around our variable first, alright, we have to discover what our like terms are so we can combine them. Before, we just had something like this, where neither of these were alike because this has a variable attached to it and this does not. Now, using your common sense, you look here and you see you have two things that have a variable with them. That means they are alike. I put boxes around them, so I know that I have to combine them. All right? If you want to, you put circles around the other one, but make sure you keep the sign with it. So now, x and negative 5x. I have to combine those before I can get to my problem. So negative 5 plus 1, my sign will be negative, and because it's a positive and a negative, I just subtract 1 from 5 and get 4. So we have negative 4x left over, plus 3, and bring 3 down over there. Now, what we have here is a simple two-step equation that we've done before. So now, put a box around our exponent, or our variable. All right, get rid of the farthest thing from it, which is the constant in this case. Subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from this side. That goes away. This becomes 0. Bring all of this down. So I have negative 4x equals 0. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. X equals 0. If you want to check it, I go back right here. Put the 0 in. Negative 4 times 0 gives you 0. So 3 equals 3. All right, now for a problem that requires distribution. All right. Distributive property. What the distributive property is when you have just a number outside of parentheses, you multiply it by everything inside. So if I had x plus y plus 3, I distribute that 2 to the x and do 2 times x. Then I distribute that 2 to the y and do 2 times y. Then I distribute that 2 to the 3 and do 2 times 3. So by distributive property, this will give me 2x plus 2 times y plus 2 times 3, which is 6. All I did is segment it off into 3 different things. And now I can't combine it, but that would be this simplified. All right, now we move over to our problem. We're going to do that same exact thing here. We're going to use the distributive property. So I draw my line. And now I'm going to distribute. I'm going to distribute using color because it makes it a lot better. But I'm going to distribute the whole thing, the negative 3. Do not leave that negative out in the cold. That negative is a part of the 3. So I distribute it to the x. I say negative 3 times x. Now I go to the next one. Negative 3 times 2. Negative 3 times 2. I have my triangle. I have a negative and a positive. So I have negative left. So my answer is negative. 3 times 2 is 6. And over here, I just combine these. Negative 3. I can't multiply a number by a variable, so they just kind of sit together. It becomes negative 3x. So now my problem is negative 3x minus 6 equals 6. Now I can go through the other process because now it is a two-step equation. So I put my box around my variable and I have negative 6 here. How do I get rid of the negative 6? I add 6 to both sides. Whatever the opposite is. 6 plus 6 is 12. This leaves me with negative 3x. Now, what's going on here is multiplication. So how do I get rid of multiplication? I divide. And that gives me, those cancel each other out. This gives me x equals -4. If I check it, take this, plug it in, it gives me -2. -2 times -3 is 6. So that is the correct answer. All right, now our last problem is a combination of both. It has distributive property, and after I distribute, I'm gonna have to combine the like terms on this side. So first thing I do is I take the 5, distribute to the 1. That gives me 5 times 1. Then I take the 5 and I distribute it to the 4. That gives me 5 times 4x. This right here gives me 20x because it's 5 times 4. They're both positive. 5 times 1 is 5. And I bring down my -2x and my -13. Alright? So that was, go back to problem 2, that's what we did in problem 2. Now this is what we did for the first problem. We have to combine our like terms. So I have a positive 20x and a -2x. Now I combine those. So 20 minus 2. I have a positive and a negative. Which one's larger? The 20 is larger, so our final sign is going to be positive. And since they are different signs, I subtract them from each other and get 18. I know that's common sense, but I still did it out because people are still having issues with it. So this becomes 18x positive, bring down my 5, bring down my -13. Now we have a simple two-step equation that we've been doing all along. Put a box around my variable, get rid of the first thing from it, which is this, which is called the constant. It's positive 5, so I get rid of it by subtracting 5 from both sides. Alright, so then I bring down my 18x, subtract that, since two negatives, I have a negative sign, and I add them because they're both negative, and then I divide by 18 on both sides. That gives me x equals -1. Alright, this has been Multistep Equations. Hope it helps. Good luck.